Hey monkeys, how you doing? Damian Keyes here. So I get loads and loads of questions which I really appreciate, which come through Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and even YouTube. And I try to reply to as many as possible, but every so often one question comes up that I just think is an absolute killer. And so I want to do a video on it, and today is one of those days. So I've had a question through from Adam Scott Bailey, and the question is, where does an artist find time to make art if they are spending every ounce of energy marketing? Where do you draw the line between making music and making noise? And I think this is a really good question, and I think it's something that probably all creatives, all musicians, and even in business, entrepreneurs are really struggling with that line, that balance of where's the product, where's the creativity, and where's the thing that I need to actually be doing, and then where's the level of how much I'm actually distributing and getting out there and looking after my audience, because there's definitely this blurred line. So come with me on my top 10 tips for bridging that gap between art versus marketing. Tip number 1, think from the end backwards. Now this is really crucial, and with any project that I ever do, I always want to go to the end, think what I want to achieve, and then work backwards from there. Now you have a lot of things to think about and a lot of things to create and a lot of things to manage, and it can get too much. And that's where you end up looking at going, I don't really know what to do, so I end up not doing anything at all. Whereas if you know where you're heading, it's a lot easier to make that journey and plan where you're going to go. So first things first, with your social media and with your art and your music, you need to have a decision on what it is that you want to achieve. And then you can look at it and say, I can't do both of these together. It's a physical impossibility. Something's got to give. But once you've got that balance of what you want to achieve right, at least you can then make a plan on how you're going to get there. So before you do anything else, and this is where bands don't do this, I know you don't do this, I would think, what is it that we want to achieve from our music this year? How many songs we want to put out? How many singles? Do we want to do an album? How many tours? How many gigs? Literally spell it out on a piece of paper. And then on a weekly basis, what is it that we want to achieve from our social media, and how are we going to do that? Once you've got that plan in place, then there's no excuses. Tip 2, planning and preparing. Now this goes for both the music and the art side, and also the marketing and the social media side. We've just talked about big picture. Fantastic, that's really good. What we want long term, brilliant. But what about what we want to achieve on a daily or weekly basis? This stuff needs planning and needs writing down. You need time for this stuff. So in which case, write down how much time you've got and what it is you want to achieve on a kind of micro level, on a smaller level. And this depends on your life. I mean, you might have a family, you might not. You might be at music college, therefore you've got more time. You might have a full-time job. You might have college and a job. And therefore you're trying to fit everything into a small amount of time. So therefore you have to be realistic with your daily targets, but you have to also look at how much time you have got to spend in order to break that up. If you literally only have 2 hours a day to spend on your band, then you need to decide what is a good balance. For me, I think it's 50-50. It's all very well you having the greatest song in the entire world, and I hear this all the time when I go and do talks, when the amount of artists say, it's all about the song. And I'm thinking, no, it's not. It just isn't. You can make the greatest song that's ever lived. There's never been a greater song. But if it remains on your computer and nobody hears it, well, who cares? Then, you know, unless you just want this to be an arty thing and you just want to have it as it's mine and I've just happened to have written the greatest song in the world. Fair enough. If that's you, if you're going, I'm not interested in marketing, that's not my thing, that's great, fuck off. You don't need to watch this video. This is about how you're going to manage both of them together. So if you want to get your music out there, there has to be enough time to market the great stuff that you are writing. And that needs to be broken down into a smaller level rather than just this pie in the sky, big picture stuff. Number 3, now when it comes to the social media aspect, I see far too many artists and creatives overthinking. And there's the perfectionism side creeps in. Everything needs to be a masterpiece, and we need to release a song, and then we need to do a video, and we need to put a tour together, and you're only thinking of the big things. And last week I made a video which was about putting stuff in a container, putting stones in a container, which you should go and check that out. And I'm seeing far too many artists trying to make everything perfect, and it's taking weeks to actually put something together, and then the audience doesn't care, and then they get frustrated because the audience isn't really paying attention to the great things that they're doing. Well, why? Because you're paying attention to yourself. You're all involved in your own stuff, as opposed to getting the audience involved with you. So the social media is about the big, the medium, and the small, but don't overthink it. Just something really simple that you can put out on a daily basis, just to touch base, to bring some value to your audience, is massive. It doesn't have to be huge every single day. You don't have to make a world-class piece of content every single day. And I know there are people out there doing it, but there are millions and millions of people who are looking after an audience by just putting out good content, standard content, and then every so often going, and here's the amazing content. So keep that peaks and troughs flowing. Tip number 4, look at your time, divide it up, and allocate a certain amount of time to content planning. Because far too many people think that they can just do social media on the run, and that is a part of social media, but it does make it a lot easier if you know what's around the corner, if you know what video you're doing next week, or if you know what pictures that you're planning on doing at your next gig. These things make your life so much easier, because as a creative, you just can't have that creativity turned on all of the time. And so therefore, when someone says to you, oh, we need to do something for social media now, pressure's on. And it's really difficult to say, right, okay, God, we need a really good photo for Instagram, and we need it now. And even though you can do it, but on the whole, it's not a good way to live your life. And it adds a load more stress, it piles on the pressure, and the reality is that's when you start getting really inconsistent. Whereas if you know that when you're going to go and do a rehearsal, you'll say, oh, whilst we're at the rehearsal, we know that we need to do a 1-minute video thanking the audience for coming to the gig on Friday with a little clip of it. At least you know what is in there. And so rather than just making stuff up on the spot all of the time, what I want you to do is I want you to allocate a meeting. And if you all live in different parts of a city, then do it via Skype. That doesn't matter. Have a WhatsApp group, but have time where you can actually organize your thoughts on the content creation rather than just trying to do it on a whim at all times. Tip number 5, sacrifice. This is a really important thing. Yes, I understand you have a life, but if you are thinking that you want to take your art, your creativity, your music to another level, and you want the audience to come with you, it is going to take time. Time is your most valuable asset, and therefore the more time that you can allocate to this, the more creativity you can put in, and the more you can look after your audience, the more you can do both. The more you can make the art, make the creation, make the music, but at the same time, you've got time for distribution, getting it out there and looking after your audience. It does take a lot of time. So your job is to be brutal with your time. I mean, absolutely brutal with your time and your time management. How much time are you putting into your band, honestly, on a daily basis? And how much time have you got spare? How much time are you spending playing Fortnite on a computer game? How much time are you watching Netflix at the end of the day? How much time are you lying in bed for that extra 5 snoozy buttons? You don't need to do those things. And yes, you want to have quality of life, fine. But this is where you get to the end of your career and you look back and you say, my career didn't work, but that's okay, because I wanted to have a life playing Fortnite and staying in bed. Not a problem. But you can't get to the end and say, it didn't work and it's not my fault because I didn't put everything into it. So your job is to be brutal with your time. And if you have to sacrifice certain things, hey, that's the name of the game. The age-old saying, you suffer for your art. Well, that's because you do. You suffer for your art. You sacrifice so much to be able to do this and get your stuff out there and actually build an audience. It takes a lot of time, a lot of momentum, and a lot of energy. So you're gonna have to sacrifice. So if it means getting up an hour earlier, fine. If it means going to bed an hour, 2 hours later, fine, you're gonna have to do it. If it means grabbing stuff here and there, if it means when you have a lunch break from work from 1 o'clock till 2 o'clock, and that is a solid hour of you leaving the office and just working on your own stuff on your own time, fine. That is acceptable. And if it means you have to go and downsize where you live and take all your outgoings down so you can work less, that is also fine. Sacrifice means you get more time, and I can't stress enough how much time it takes to do this properly. Tip 6, Get used to multitasking. Now, Gary Vaynerchuk calls this document, don't create. And I don't fully agree with him for us because we are creatives. Our job is to create. But I do absolutely agree that not enough musicians and not enough people are actually documenting the great stuff that they're doing, the interesting journey, the interesting things that they are creating. And here's another thing. How many songs have your band written that no one's ever heard? To me, I'm like, that doesn't make sense to me. Like it did back in the day when you had to release an album and get people to release an album and there wasn't your own distribution. But now, if you think of it, if Dave Grohl from the Foo Fighters jumps onto social media and says, I've just written this song, it's not really my best work, I don't think it's going to go on the album. Do you want to hear it? What are we all going to say? We're all going to say, yeah, I want to hear it. And then we'll listen to it and it might not be his best work, but we'll go, brilliant, that was really cool. And it's just a moment in time, which is what a lot of social media can be. So when you've written a song and it's just sat on your computer and no one's heard it, for me, you've done the hard work. You've spent that time creating something fantastic, which your audience will appreciate. Why not put it out there? Why not show them? Even if it comes with a disclaimer saying, wrote that, not going to be on the album, but I want to show you guys because I appreciate you and I value you, and so I just wanted to show you what I was doing today. There's nothing wrong with that. So get used to actually showing people stuff that you are already doing and not always having to spend 2 hours creating something for social media to go out. You've got all of this time in a day or in a week where you are already doing stuff, creative stuff for your band. You've just got to be in the mindset or set alarms on your phone to say, look, you're in a rehearsal, don't forget to do a picture. Or you're at a gig, don't forget to do a video, or don't forget to record the setup time, or don't forget to record the sound check. You can actually remind yourself, but you've got to get used to actually fitting the social media around the awesome things that you are already doing, because we've all been in that position where we do a great gig and someone goes, oh, did you record it? Did you get photos? And you go, oh no, I was too busy enjoying the gig. Unacceptable. This is the time where we have to meld the two together. Number 7, look for quick wins. Look for easy, quick wins. Now for me, Insta Live, Facebook Live, these are really good quick wins. This is a way to keep reminding your audience, for letting your audience get involved, but at the same point, it doesn't take the world of setup and the world of preparation. It can literally be you having 20 minutes or 10 minutes or 2 minutes and jumping onto Insta Live and just saying, hey guys, just wanted to update you on some stuff, or wanted to tell you about my day, or I wanted to have a chat with you guys. Let's make it more about the audience. And when your audience pops up and say hi, then you say, how's your day? And you have a chat with them. Don't forget, this is about the audience as much as it is about you. This is a way that you're connecting with your audience. So look for quick wins. And for me, when it comes to quick wins, Facebook Live and Insta Live, these are big opportunities for you. Same thing with the quick win. I know it doesn't sound like much, but when you reply, properly reply to every single comment on any social media platform, that goes in here to every one of your audience members. The cheers, we've talked about that, the thumbs up, that doesn't really, but when you actually have a proper conversation, when you're in the DMs and you say, thanks very much for messaging me, and then you have a proper conversation, that is worth a lot. And it's an easy, quick win, because that person will go away and they will tell people about you and you will grow your audience. So as much as it's a one-to-one game, social media can be a one-to-one game. So look for these easy, quick wins. Tip number 8. Delegation. Now, when you're setting up a band or a business, you have 2, 3, 4, 5 people in the project. But what bands tend to do is they tend to do things as a unit. Let's do writing together. Let's do rehearsals together. Let's do promotion together. Let's do social media together. So effectively, whilst you might have 4 brains, from an actual getting stuff done, you haven't got as much manpower. Doesn't need to be like that. You can start to split up responsibilities and jobs and farming them out. Now, there's a difference between someone doing jobs and taking responsibility, and I think this is an important point. Taking responsibility is saying, I might not be doing the thing, but I'm taking responsibility that we will actually get this done. So I might not be an expert in photography, but I'm taking responsibility that we will have a photographer at that gig, or we will have photos that I can show you the day after the gig. So to be able to delegate these responsibilities amongst you as a band means you've got manpower or woman power. If there's 3, 4, or 5 people in a band, you can do some damage with that amount of people when it comes to promotion, when it comes to social media. If you put everyone together in a room at all times, all you're going to do is have a committee, and it's actually going to slow you down. I would rather see a band saying, this is what the bass player's job is to do, this is what the drummer's responsibility is, this is what the guitarist's responsibility is, and yes, you're going to combine certain things, but on the whole, there's plenty of things that you can have your own responsibility for band members. And if you're a solo artist and you're watching this and you're thinking, that's fantastic, but I don't have a band, it's just me on my own, then you've got to be creative. You've got to start looking at boyfriends, girlfriends, friends, and even, and this is a crazy one, but what about the super fans? What about those fans that really, really love you and they really appreciate what you do? This is the time to say, do you know what? I appreciate the fact that you're with me on this journey so much, and I appreciate how much you do for me. Why don't you come and help me with actually doing some promo? Because I think that will really, really help. And I bet you 99% of the times, those super fans not only will go and tell everyone about it, but they will spend more time with you than they need to, and they will really push you out there and they'll really get the job done. So start being creative. If you can't do it in-house, start looking out-house and actually saying, this is my thing, but I need a favor. I need you to come on board and help me with some of the stuff that we need to do. Tip number 9, think of the marketing and the socials as part of the art. Because it isn't just, this is my art and this is the stuff I have to do because I have to get this stuff out. This stuff is just as creative. This creating, marketing, distribution, this is a bit which can be as creative as you want. This can be just as much fun as creating the music itself. So not only are we going to start putting it together, but I really want you to stop thinking of this bit as a chore and this bit as the fun bit, and thinking of it as one big unit. Because if you can actually think of your marketing as art and make that creative, not only will you actually build your audience a lot faster, but it becomes less work and more fun. And to be honest with you, I've got to the point now where stuff like this is my creative outlet. You know, I got to a point last year, I did 150 gigs last year. I couldn't manage 2 businesses and do the social media whilst I was traveling all over the country, like literally half of the year. I just couldn't fit it all in. But now this is my creative outlet and I love it. I love being able to make new videos, come up with concepts, to experiment with things and put all my creativity into a project. So what I want you to do is stop thinking of it as fun stuff and crap stuff and think of it as it's art. It's all art. Whether it's creating a video or whether it's creating a music, you are creating something around you, your brand, and your music. And number 10, and this is a big one, love your audience. I mean, I cannot tell you how much I appreciate you for watching this video. If you comment below, I appreciate it even more. The subscribers, the likes, all of the stuff that we all are after. It's not something I'm just like, oh, that's quite cool. I mean, like when someone messages me, it's something that really makes me think, you didn't have to do that. You value me, you value my opinion. And I'm like, I treasure that so much that I want to be able to give something back. I want to say thank you for doing that. So, you know, on the last point about being a chore, this isn't a chore. This is something that if I look after an audience, if I look after people, I know they will look after me. And so when it comes to what content I put out, and this is the crux of the entire video, when it comes to where do you draw the line? You draw the line at looking after your audience because you want to, because you love them, because you appreciate them being there for you. And so a very simple tweet, which might take you 5 seconds, or a very simple Facebook status, again, it's going to take you 10, 20 seconds, can be empowering to look after your audience. It can be a really valuable thing. So for me, if you're thinking about that, if you're thinking about how you can really value your audience, then it doesn't matter whether you're spending 3 days on making the greatest video that you've ever made, or you just put out a heartfelt status or a picture saying thank you, or anything in between. Everything is just about how you value and look after your audience, and not just expecting them to just take part in what you do because you are super awesome and you're the musician and they're there to see you. Flip it around. And that to me is the crux of this entire video. So that's my top 10 tips. So you've got marketing, you've got music, we've talked about a bunch of things. If you've got any questions, if you've got any comments, or if you've got any thoughts, then please leave them down below in the comments, because that to me means I can talk to you. I can actually engage with you, and that's what I want to do. You can also hit me up in the DMs, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. I'm on all of them, so come and say hi. Otherwise, do me a favor, in order to trigger the algorithm, hit the like, hit the subscribe, and share it if you're feeling lovely, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.